So for BSS, we have the application, we have the interview, we have the assessment, and we have report cards. And so those are our four things we look at. The application, I think people take maybe too seriously. You don't have to write lots and lots and lots because it's really for us to use for the interview.
Hi everyone, this is Maggie. It is really my greatest pleasure to have the guest speaker, Miss Hilary Adamson from Bishop Strachan School, the most famous girls-only school in Toronto. So I would like to have Miss Adamson to share some of her opinions and also share some valuable information about BSS. Can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm Hilary Adamson. I'm the Executive Director of Enrollment Management at the Bishop Strachan School here in Toronto. I've been here about 6 years, and it's my pleasure to work with our enrollment team and our marketing and communications team to, share all the things that we love about BSS with you.
Yes, so actually Hilary is so experienced in recruiting girls because she has also amazing work experience in many other different schools, girls-only schools in Toronto. But I can tell her love for BSS is so unique. And my first question would be, what kind of students. I would also say that when you're interviewing the students from Asia or from different parts of the world, what kind of qualities, student qualities you're looking for?
Yeah, this is a question I get a lot. What is a typical BSS student? And I think, my typical answer is that we want all different types of girls, for sure. We want a diversity of interests and backgrounds and strengths, for sure. But when we're looking at boarding, we're building a family, we're building a community. And so we really want girls who want to be involved. And so when we're interviewing our candidates for boarding, we really want to delve into what some of their interests are, what they, how they want to get involved in the school, but with their community in boarding as well. And so, boarding, because they live here, they eat here, they sleep here, they're with each other all the time. It's really like a sisterhood, and they become so close that we want them to want to be involved. And that includes weekend activities, evening activities, study hall, and just hanging out with your friends. And that builds a really great boarding community where they can support each other.
Yeah, parents would love to see how the girls get engaged in all these activities, but they would also feel very nervous about their future university applications. So for the boarding students, how does BSS support them to have a great experience in applying for universities?
Well, I think it starts really early. So when students start either in grade 8 or grade 9 or even grade 10, they build a relationship with their academic counselor, who is their person to help pick courses, to think about the pathway that might lead them to a university. And that pathway can be direct. Some kids know exactly where they want to go, if it's the US or a specific school, or maybe the UK or staying here in Canada. And others don't really know yet. And when you're in grade 8 or 9, that's okay. So it's a lot of conversations. We have many schools, both American, British, and Canadian schools come to visit us at universities. They meet with our students. We have a university fair for both students and parents in the evening. We have a university information night for parents, and for boarding and international parents, they can join online. And our students start to have those conversations and start to kind of narrow down what's important to them. Do they want to be in a big city? Do they want to be on a smaller campus? Are they looking at a STEM program? Are they looking at a specific specialized dual degree program? So they start to really do the research. And when the guidance counselors, who are very knowledgeable, especially in Canadian and US schools, can really help guide them to see what program and what school would be a good fit. And then on the academic side, we have to have that good match. So obviously we're an academic school, the girls work really hard, and our teachers prepare them for university so that when they are applying, they have very strong academic records to support their applications. But that's not the only thing we know that universities look at. We know that they want to see leadership, they want to see involvement, they want to see different co-curriculars and opportunities that they've taken, community service, all those things. So that's the nice thing about BSS, is that you get the academic rigor, but you also get the opportunity to explore passions through clubs, through teams, through academic teams, athletics, the arts, so that you're building a portfolio that's going to support any application to a university. And so it's a process. It takes 4 to 5 years to be there. So, we don't take students into grade 12. 11 is sort of the last point somebody could come in, and that's a quick turnover. So coming in grade 8 or 9 is really great because you have 4 or 5 years to build all of those things, your academic, your co-curricular, and your university preparation. We also offer in boarding the SAT prep.
ACT
prep.
Yes.
We knew that some of the students were going and doing this on weekends in different areas of the city, and maybe their parents who lived close were driving them. So we actually now do it here so that the girls can stay on campus and do their prep, because we know that's important to them. We also write the PSAT in grade 10 for students who are thinking, so that gives them good practice. And then, of course, we offer AP courses. So the AP courses are advanced placement, university level courses that are recognized worldwide, and they really provide great preparation for university. And I would say that a lot of our boarding students take many AP courses over 2 to 3 years. And the AP Capstone Diploma, which is the AP Research and AP Seminar, are 2 amazing courses that really give kids research skills, writing skills, and they go into university very ready to write papers, and the pace of the reading and the producing of work is really practiced in those courses.
Yeah, for those parents who are already very much prepared to place their daughter into a boarding program, they would always ask me, Maggie, is my girl better fit for AP or IB? So just in your opinion, what type of student learner is more of like an AP category, and what kind of is more like of an IB, because sometimes many Asian parents would get confused.
Yeah, so in all my experience, I've only worked at AP schools. So all 3 of the schools that I've worked at offer AP courses. So I'm a little biased about the AP program. And what I love about it is that it's flexible. And the girls can choose to take AP subjects at that very rigorous and hard, challenging level in the subjects that they're passionate about. So if somebody is looking at health sciences or medicine down the road, they would want to really focus on the AP science program. So AP Chem, AP Bio, and AP Physics. They might take AP Calculus, and they might take AP English, so that they're getting a lot of practice in the writing. And that's probably enough. They don't have to take AP Mandarin, AP French, AP World Issues, those sorts of things. They can really tailor it to their needs. And that's where our academic counselors come in. They really help them choose which ones will best support an application and give you the experience and the challenge in the subjects that you really are caring about. So that's why we like the AP program here at BSS. And then, other girls who aren't so focused and maybe don't have a specific thing that they're really interested in studying at university, so they can keep it a little bit more broad. They can take a couple of sciences, a math, maybe a social science, and maybe an English over 2 to 3 years. We have some students who only take 1 or 2 APs, and we have some who take 6 or 7 over 2 years in grade 10 and 10, 11, 12. And so again, it's really flexible. If you're staying in Canada, our students take the APs to be ready and prepared, but they're not required. If you're applying to the US universities, it's a little bit more, it's going to beef up your application, and they're looking for that rigor, so they want to take those. And so I think, people sometimes get confused between IB and AP because they are similar, right?
Yeah.
They're similar. The AP Capstone Diploma, where they have to write a 5,000-word essay on a specific topic that they've studied over the year, that's a really rigorous thing. And they also have to take 5 other AP courses plus research and seminar to get the diploma. So that is just as rigorous as any IB diploma, in my opinion. And I also think, the Ontario curriculum is also rigorous. So these girls are challenging themselves, but we at BSS, we want to see the balance. And that's why we talk about learn more about everything is our tagline, because we want them to learn in the classroom and we want them to be prepared academically. But we also think they can learn so much being on a team, team, showing up for their team, practicing, balancing their time management skills. We want them to take on leadership, especially in boarding, where they're planning different events and working with different age groups of kids. We want them to maybe have a volunteer experience where they're really committed to doing some really great work with an organization, either here in Toronto or globally. We want them to have a global experience in our global learning program, or maybe our outdoor education program doing the Duke of Ed. And we think all these things prepares them for life after BSS and that independence and confidence. And so I think that's what sets us apart, and our AP program allows them to do all of those things too.
Yes, so flexibility is a lot of, provide the parents a lot of thinking, what they want for their girls in the future. And they also want to know what types of learning skills that BSS consider most important for the girls to be successful in the university, so that the parents can try to, like, no matter cultivate or support the girls to develop these learning skills, because in Asia, the students are very much focused on exam taking skills, and they also have so much knowledge to memorize. And the reason why a boarding program like BSS would attract them, it's also co-curricular and academic rigor, and they want the girls to be able to build up the learning skills that BSS needs when they apply.
Yeah, so learning skills, especially starting in middle school, grade 7 and 8, and then building in grade 9 through 12, are really a focus of how we help girls prepare. So time management, using your calendar, making sure you're staying on top of things. Because what we see is, kids maybe overcommitting and then not being able to do everything that they wanted to do. And so we help them try to balance out their week and even their weekends of when they're going to do their homework, when are they going to finish an assignment or do a group project together with other students who might be day students and boarding students. So it's really about time management is one thing. And I think staying organized and asking for help. Our teachers are so dedicated. So what they call office hours. Our teachers are always available to help our students before school, at lunch, even after school. And in boarding, you also have teachers who are there in study hall. So you can ask for help. And I think sometimes students aren't comfortable doing that at the beginning, but it starts to seep into the culture here at BSS. The teachers are not here to trick them or set them up for failure. They're here for them to succeed, and they want them to do well. So they're here to explain it one more time, or give them some extra challenge, or to go over a math problem again, or give them another way to look at it. And so we're really lucky that our teachers love working here and that they want to help our students, and so they're available always to ask, to be there to help them. I think the other thing is to rely on your friends and work together. In our math classes, students usually work in threes so that they can look at different perspectives. And this is sort of something that is taken on in all subjects. We want our boarders bring a global perspective. They've lived somewhere different. They've had different cultural experiences. They've traveled to different places. And so with all of the different countries represented in boarding and all of the different cultures represented even in our day school in a city like Toronto, we bring different perspectives and ideas. And that is so important in an English class when you're looking at a text or a novel, that, to have different perspectives from culturally different backgrounds, I think is really, really important as well. So that's another skill, being able to listen and to respect other people's opinions, even if they're different than your own. This year, our school is talking a lot about ethical citizenship. It's one of the signatures of a BSS girl, but it's the one we're focusing on this year. And it's really about taking the time to listen and to not necessarily respond until you've thought about how perspectives can be different, to support one another, to empathize with one another. And so these are skills, more soft skills than how to study and how to set your timer and how to take a break and all those things. So those are important too. And then I would say the last thing is there's been I would say since COVID, there's been a big shift to a focus on well-being. And we know that when girls are happy and feel good about themselves and feel confident, they will work better and produce better and want to work harder. And so we do a lot in our school to produce areas where they can focus on their well-being, and whether that's a little time out or a quiet space to work on your own, or as a fun activity at lunch to break the ice and just let some energy.
Yeah, like puppy yoga.
Puppy yoga, exactly. And so we want kids to be happy, because happy kids are going to work hard and do well. And we have supports for kids who are not happy, because nobody's happy all the time. And so I think for boarding parents, that's really important. We have nurses on site throughout the day. We have 2 nurses, and then we have a doctor on call, and we have our boarding staff who are really equipped to help kids through the tough times as well, when stress builds, or when exams are happening, or when things don't go great. And that's okay. We have supports around them to build resilience, to build the capacity that things aren't going to be perfect all the time. And so I think that's a really great focus for girls to learn over their time here as well, that they have this toolkit, they have skills when things aren't great. So when they get to university and things are going to be tough and you're on your own, and there's the workload might be more, and maybe you don't get the mark you want, and all those things, they know how to deal with that and build that grit. Right?
Yeah. So for those families who are considering applying for BSS, they might feel so anxious and even stressed out before the application process begins. So in your opinion, if you could give them some advice on what they should pay attention to, or what they shouldn't pay so much attention to. What would these elements be, and how could they overcome the stress of the application process?
I know as a parent, it can be very stressful going through this, because you want the best for your child. It's just, you've been through it with university recently, and you want your child to succeed and get to the place where they really want to be. So I understand the stress around it. And when you're applying to many schools, it can be a lot of work, right? So for BSS, we have the application, we have the interview, we have the assessment, and we have report cards. And so those are our 4 things that we look at. The application, I think people take maybe too seriously. This is a way just for us to get to know your child and your family a little bit. You don't have to write lots and lots and lots, because it's really for us to use for the interview. So when I read about a student's interest in figure skating and piano and chess, then I know I can that's a nice icebreaker to talk about the interview. I don't need too much information about it. It's really a starting point.
Don't need a professional essay.
No, I don't need a professional essay, and we don't want AI to write it. We want it to be personal, and it doesn't have to be perfect English or perfect, it can be point form, but it's really about getting to know what your goals for your child are and what they want out of a school. So then the second step is the interview. So anybody applying to an entry grade or to boarding, we will interview. And for international families who are overseas, we'll do it via Zoom. But if they are in Toronto over the breaks, then we would love to do it in person. And so that is really, I think, what people get most stressed about, especially the students, because some of them haven't been through an interview process before. And so I think my biggest advice is be yourself. And that's hard sometimes when you're nervous. But sometimes students over-prepare, and that doesn't come off as authentic when they've sort of practiced answers and they're ready to regurgitate what they think we want to hear. I would much rather have a conversation, kind of like what we're doing here. And, when I've read that they love figure skating, I can ask them about that. And we kind of just go around and see where that leads us. And then that might lead to talking about, time management. We might talk about that a little bit, and how does that work at school when you're training so hard? And, things, it's organic and it kind of flows. Obviously, there's some certain questions we'll ask that we want to get to know in boarding, about how they would feel about being away from home and, living with a roommate and things like that. But the interview is just to get to know them even more, and what would they be like here? And what would they get involved in here? So again, going back to what I first said, is we want kids who want to be involved, and they might not know everything we have here, but what are their interests? Then the assessment, again, we can do it online or in person. It's a math assessment. It's about a 45-minute math assessment and about a 50-minute writing assessment where they do some reading of an article, they answer some short questions, and then a longer essay question.
I see.
And here we're looking for, reading comprehension. English has to be strong. So for students who haven't grown up with English as their first language, that's something we're looking for. That are they strong enough to come into BSS and jump into our program? And then the last thing is report cards.
Report cards.
And so report cards and the assessment are kind of looked at in tangent, because a report card shows us every day. Those teachers know their students. They see them every day. We're judging on one day, that assessment. So we kind of put those together. Now, typically Chinese report cards in some schools only have letter grades or percentages and no comments. But I have seen over the last 5 years, traditional Chinese schools have a little bit more.
Yeah, they have more comments.
And those comments are important because that shows us what type of learner they are, how they might be in a classroom working with others, those kind of softer skills. And that's important at BSS because we're a very collaborative school. We're inquiry-based, so we want, interaction. We want kids to ask questions. We want them to be able to work with their peers. So those comments help us kind of determine what kind of learner they are. And then, with boarding, I always say the earlier you apply, the better, because it's a rolling admission. Once we have taken a student and their family through those 4 steps, then we can make a decision fairly quickly. So we typically have our first decisions go out around Christmas, and then another one's maybe mid-January, and then February, and then when we're full, we stop, right? And so if you apply in March or April, we may have no spots in certain grades at that point. Okay. So the earlier, the better.
Yeah. So once the student get admitted, how do you expect the parents to interact with the school?
Yeah, so I think since COVID, we've been actually interacting with our international parents better because we have monthly Zoom calls with our boarding families where they can hear from the principal, hear from the boarding staff. Sometimes our head of school is on the calls as well. They can ask questions and interact. We have a slideshow. All of our parent-teacher interviews can be done via Zoom now so that parents can really check in. If there's any concerns from the boarding staff or from teachers, they will reach out via email and set up a call. But we want our parents reading the monthly and weekly newsletters. We want our boarding parents asking questions and not feeling like they're so far away that they can't be part of their daughters.
Yes.
And then for university preparation, those parents would be involved in any big meetings with their daughter. So when they're starting to decide which schools to apply to, the parents can be involved as much as they want to with the academics.
For international families, parents always worry about their language proficiency, like they're worried about their limited English. So for online meetings, they could always use some APP or translator to help. But in terms of interview, the parent part, or in terms of parent-teacher meeting, so how would BSS support parents with language problem?
So if they have a friend or somebody who can come on the call with them to translate, that's great. We can also arrange for a translator to be on the call. We have a few people on staff. We have a couple of faculty and a couple of our administrative staff who speak Mandarin, so they can help. And students often will translate for their parents as well.
Okay, that would be so helpful because for many families, especially Chinese families, they sometimes, I don't speak good English, or they kind of put a shame on my child's application profile, and so it's really important for them to hear from you.
Yes. No, and I when I've been on the road this year and meeting many parents in different new cities across China, I think, I always say, it's not your English I'm judging. I'm really, looking and assessing your daughter's English, but we understand, and after being in China and I don't speak Mandarin, I know what it's like to be in a situation where your English is preventing you from learning or communicating, and that's hard. So we want them to bring a translator, or their student can do it.
Yeah. So I remember many parents also love to ask questions about orientation, about how to help their newly admitted daughters to adapt better into a new school environment. And girls always value the friendship so much. That in terms of this area, how would you advise the parents?
Yeah, so once a student is enrolled, if it's early in the year, like January, February, there's a bit of a break, and then in the spring we start to communicate a little bit more about each family will get a buddy family so that they can ask questions to a current parent and student, and then we also have our boarding staff reaching out with packing lists and roommate surveys. So the girls fill out a survey about what kind of am I early bed, early to rise. What kind of things they like, so that we can match roommates together. And then we have an orientation for both parents and for students on the first day. We have a welcome reception for the parents who do travel. Some of them don't travel with their child, so then it's their student is here on their own, and so it would just be emails back and forth that she's doing well, she's settled in, she's got her roommate. I think the first week of school is really an orientation, trying to find where everything is, to get them settled, to make sure they have everything they need. They do field trips to Walmart and things like that to make sure everybody has what they need. And of course, with Amazon, they can order stuff. But we want them to feel like they're creating a home here. But for parents, it's really sort of about the rules and the schedules, making sure they know when they can contact their student and when they shouldn't contact their student. And it's hard with the time change, right?
Yes,
because we're just waking up, they're just going to bed, and so it does become tricky. And the girls don't have their phones during the day, right? And so there are times during meals and right after school where they can contact families, and in the morning.
I once talked to a parent who sent her daughter away to a boarding school in North America, and she said ever since that she never turns off her phone for the whole night.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah, so just in case it rings up. I believe for many international families, safety is the most important thing. And for BSS, I want to help those candidate families to know how does BSS help the international families make sure their daughters are safe, and especially what type of most important boarding rules that BSS has been using or has been applying to those boarders, so help the girls be more regulated, making sure they're more safe. For example, phone policy and party night out policy. These are the questions that parents of daughters want to know.
I totally get it. So in boarding, there are different rules for each different grade. So a grade 8 has more structure and parameters around them than a grade 12. They kind of earn some freedoms as they move through the high school. So we also use an app called Aura, and Aura is an app where they have to sign in, they sign out, so we kind of know where they are. We use it at breakfast. They have to check in at breakfast so that we know they've come down, they're eating. And then if they are to leave the school for an appointment or with a friend to go somewhere, then they have to sign in and out so we know where they are, and when they come back, and they have the cell phone numbers of all the staff, so if there's ever an issue, they can contact them very quickly. I think it's hard for parents to picture if they've never been here, because Toronto is a big city, right?
Exactly.
And we kind of have this vision of what it might be like. But BSS is right in the middle of a very quiet neighborhood, and it feels very safe, right? And I think that's hard for parents to even picture. But the girls can walk around the school into the Ville, which is a little only about 2 blocks away, where they can get a coffee or go to a little restaurant or shop, and that they can do at lunch or after school. They still sign out, so we know where they are. But those sorts of things, we kind of trust that those are a safe little outing. If they want to go downtown, then they have to go with a buddy, or they have to go with a staff advisor. If they're going to a doctor's appointment, again, they can take an Uber or a taxi, but all the parents have to give approvals on all these things. And again, the Aura app lets us know where they are, and the boarding staff are in contact with them. So there are definitely parameters. They can go out for a weekend to a friend's house, a day student's house, if the parents give permission, if they want to talk to that parent, to know who's going to be home and things like that. But we want them to have a little fun, but there's definitely a lot of rules and curfews and regulations around the safety. We are being entrusted with 70 students. It is our job to take them into our care and keep them safe.
Yeah.
Physically safe, mentally safe, and socially safe. And so we take that very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And we know that parents are giving a lot of trust to us. So we have set up a lot of routines and schedules that will keep them that way.
Yeah.
And then evening, so bedtime again is very important. We value sleep, we value healthcare or self-care. And so each grade has different curfews to be in their room and lights out and things like that. And that's when they have to hand over their devices, because we think if they have their devices, they won't sleep. And so we put their devices away for the night, and then they can get them back in the morning.
Yeah. I'm very impressed when I was doing the interview with Cindy Pan, because I didn't ask her to prepare. I just asked her a question. All of a sudden, what is her best experience like as a boarder? So I'm really impressed by how she has grown up in way of confidence, and also in the way of answering questions out of blue. So she told me that I think the teachers at boarding are more of friends and mentors than teachers. So she could feel safe to talk to them, review her vulnerable side, and to discuss her issues and problems with the teachers without feeling shamed or feeling she would be judged. And that is something really touched me most about BSS boarding program. So I'm going to ask you a question out of blue too.
Okay.
So if you could only just use one sentence to describe the most unique thing that BSS provide for international students, what would it be? It would not be 2 words. I give Susan 2 words.
Oh, okay. 2 words?
Yeah, and for you, I would like to say maybe a sentence.
Okay.
Because I always encourage my family, clients, and the students to visit the school, research the website, and really imagine, like putting yourself into the environment of the school, and try to figure out who you would be and where you would be in different areas of the school if you were a student tomorrow here.
Yeah. I think I would say BSS creates a home away from home and a safe space for students to be themselves and who they are. And I think that's the one thing that attracted, okay, that was my sentence, but now I'm going to say that attracted me to BSS when I came here. And I had my first tour around the school. I saw kids, they didn't have to fit into a box. I saw kids being themselves and expressing themselves, even though we all wear a uniform and you think everybody's going to look kind of the same. They're allowed to be and figure out who they are during their time here.
They don't need to force themselves to please anyone.
Exactly.
Right? They please themselves first, take good care of themselves first.
Yeah. And loving, like, you know, if somebody loves art, they can really love art here. They can be in the play, they can be in the orchestra, they can be in the choir, they can be, you know, drawing late at night and you know, doing different art projects in the art studio and really expressing themselves. And I think this is really an important way. Or if somebody loves athletics, you know, and they can be on a team and really express themselves that way.
Can you imagine Cindy is trying out archery?
On Friday nights. Our archery club is really popular. It started really small and it's grown.
Wow.
The archery club. Yeah, there's something for everyone.
Yeah.
There's something for everyone.
Yeah. And she said it's a good way to keep her refreshed and energetic. And it actually helps her overcome the stress she's having as a grade 12 student.
Yeah, you need an outlet, for sure. And whether that's being on the swim team and doing laps or singing really loudly in a choir or shooting a bow and arrow, I think everybody needs that because our kids work really hard. They do. And we know that life can be stressful for girls and for students, especially in grade 12 as they prepare for university. So they do need these other things to keep them grounded and happy. And, you know, it's a release for sure.
Yeah.
And boarding too, just lying on somebody's bed and laughing and talking, that's all part of it.
Yeah, I would say among all my students who have now become university students, I ask them to share their most unique feeling about their high school experience as a boarder. So almost every single BSS boarder graduate, they would say, Maggie, I think I would always love to visit my school even after I graduate, even after I become a married mom. Because thinking about my old school makes me feel warm, which is something that my other friends in university who also did boarding rarely have.
We had, so at Christmas, we had so many alumni, young alumni who are in university come back for a reception, and they just love the school. They're walking around, they're talking to their teachers. They're sharing their experiences at university, whether they're in first year or third year, but they still want to come back and be part of this community, because you're always going to be part of it. And, you know, as girls, I mean, on our website, you can look at our university school profile, which shows all the schools that the kids choose. And already this year, we've had some amazing results of acceptances into U.S. schools on early offers.
Already?
Yeah, and I wish I knew them off by heart, but on Instagram, you can follow BSS Grads 2026, and they post when they decide which school they're accepting.
Okay.
And yeah, I think there's 4 into NYU, 1 into Dartmouth, 1 into Northeastern. I can't remember them all right now, but they're really impressive programs and schools already. So we're really proud
it's
of this.
It's only the beginning of January.
Yeah, by December.
So please feel free to pay attention to BSS social media, not only Chinese social media, but Instagram and also, I believe, Facebook as well, right?
We're not on Facebook anymore. We do Instagram and LinkedIn.
Oh, so LinkedIn. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming to BSS.
Yeah, every time we talk, we always have new ideas, and this time home away from home.
Yep.
Okay.
It is.
Thank you. And if you have any questions about BSS, 如果您对这个 BSS boarding program 有任何问题，欢迎直接联系 BSS 的招生部，也欢迎联系 Maggie 老师，我们可以帮您和 BSS 招生部搭建桥梁，然后给您的孩子提供更加专业的咨询服务。谢谢大家。